Ladies and gents, welcome to CG Reaction, and this is Cruel Bombs by the channel Vsauce. Here's another Vsauce videos. This is about the bombs, probably atomic bombs. I love this scientific topics. I love this channel. I don't know why I didn't react to this before, but yeah, this is great. So he's gonna talk about bombs here. Yeah, I mean, the power of nuclear is just ridiculous. I mean, that's one of the most powerful thing in the universe. Nuclear fission, nuclear fusion. Even the most bombs in the world, most bombs, the US and Russia has the most bombs in the world, and even them, most of them are fission bombs. Some of them are hydrogen bombs. And Tsar Bomba, I think, was a hydrogen bomb. I'm pretty sure it was. So there are even more powerful bombs now, but nobody tested it. Obviously, people are thinking about testing on the moon, but they didn't. So yeah. Bombs is just ridiculous because these bombs, it doesn't just affect the area where they hit. I mean, it has also radiation. If there is a wind, if there is a high wind in the area, it could travel. The radiation could travel for long distance and it could screw things up. That's why in Chernobyl they're trying to create a dome over the entire plant so it doesn't just spread out. They could contain it. So yeah, nuclear bombs are just ridiculous. I mean, basically they are one of the strongest forces in the world. Nuclear fission, nuclear fusion, and obviously they create radiation, which is not good for us. Radioactive substances means unstable elements. We are not unstable elements. So when unstable elements touches our body, it damages our body. So it just screws people up. Apparently, I learned that animals has higher resistance to radiation. Didn't know that. But yeah, so let's watch this one. Remember, people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the reaction I did. There's a link in the description. Check out the cards for all the playlists. And yeah, let's go.
Hey, Vsauce, Michael here. Every cloud has a silver lining. Except nuclear mushroom clouds, which have a lining of strontium-90, cesium-137, and other radioactive isotopes. Upon detonation, atoms are literally gutted and gluttoned at temperatures exceeding that of the surface of our sun. In the 1950s, Harold Edgerton's Rapatronic camera caught nuclear fireballs less than 1,000th of a second after detonation. Using a special magnetic shutter, each exposure lasted only a billionth of a second and captured an otherworldly creature.
Look at that.
Its energy vaporizing the metal wires supporting its tower into stringy layers.
Look at that. Plasma wall, basically. That is ridiculous. We are all made of atoms, and when you rip apart atoms, the energy release is just ridiculous.
Eggs of plasma. Watch the target on the ground. Now, roughly visualized, here is a conventional TNT explosion. Now, on the same spot, a similarly sized bomb that uses nuclear fission.
Damn.
When Little Boy was detonated over Hiroshima, only 1.38% of its uranium actually fissioned. The rest was blown away before that could happen, which means, as Eric Schlosser points out, the fission of merely 0.7 grams of uranium, that's less than the weight of a banknote, was enough to kill 80,000 people and destroy 2/3 of a city's buildings. When a country has tens of thousands...
God, to be fucking kidding me, man. This is just ridiculous. I get it, war was on and everything, but just imagine that, man. Just being in this city and bomb fell and 80,000 people died with that kind of explosion. Only 1+% uranium got used. That is ridiculous. What if the 80-90% of it was used? So that bomb would have been ridiculously big. This is the thing with nuclear bombs. They are not, efficient. Not all of it gets used, and yet they are this powerful. Imagine when humanity perfects it and makes it 90+% efficient. Even the fission bombs would be so enormous, it's ridiculous, let alone hydrogen bombs.
Thousands of nuclear weapons ready to go. Accidents are a possibility. This was a problem during the Cold War, and it still is a problem. What if there is a fire, or a miscommunication, or a rogue officer decides to set one off?
No, it's not that. I remember US thing where they were transporting nuclear bombs, and they just fell from the plane and landed it somewhere. and they just put the board there that, almost a tragedy happened here or something like that. Like they detonated one of their own states apparently with this wasn't, I think, one bomb. There were more than one bombs. I mean, usually anybody detonates a bomb somewhere, it's just one bomb. This had more than one bomb. So imagine if USA accidentally would have bombed their own place with multiple fission bombs. That would have been just ridiculous. I mean, that almost happened. There was also an incident where somebody just put, cargo plane and had nuclear bombs in it. And somebody just forgot and was just standing there in the runway. And somebody just realized, what the fuck is that? And then the people just realized, holy shit, that has nuclear bombs in it. How do you make that kind of mistake when it comes to nuclear bomb? So the nuclear bombs have the highest level of securities and, highest level of importance. How can you forget you just on the runway? So that is just effed up, man.
Or what if someone just drops a warhead? How much risk is too much? I asked Schlosser. The acceptable probability of a nuclear weapon accident.
Yeah.
What is it now?
The acceptable probability of the detonation of a nuclear weapon in an accident is 1 in a million. In 2012, the odds of you dying in a commercial airline...
I mean, that's not as low as I would think. People are like 1 in a million, that's nothing. But no, I mean, there are worse odds at lots of things that happen. So 1 in a million, that's still scary, man.
...or accident were about 1 in 40 million. So that's even more remote than the accidental detonation of a nuclear weapon.
There have been oopsie-daisy moments with nuclear weapons on U.S. soil. Luckily, none that resulted in critical mass, but accidents.
I mean, look, gigantic asteroids falling on Earth has, 1 in a billions of something like probabilities. And even they have done mass extinctions in the past. So it's not like, 1 in a million, it's fine. No, one of these days, somebody might get fucked because of a mistake. This is just heavy.
Nonetheless, just like when you pee your pants, except your pants are the entire planet, and the P stands for plutonium. Eureka comes from ancient Greek, meaning I have found it. And in Eureka, North Carolina, you can find it, a giant sign that says nuclear mishap.
There you go, this is what I was talking about.
The year my father was born, a U.S. B-52 bomber carrying 2 4-megaton thermonuclear bombs over North Carolina tumbled from the sky. A loose lanyard in the cockpit snagged the bomb release switch.
Here's what I'm thinking. The plane is still on fire and somebody's there to film it. I guess they didn't know at the time that they had nuclear bombs on there. I'm pretty sure, because otherwise they wouldn't be there. I saw this on John Oliver, I think. That's why I remembered it.
Each bomb contained a greater explosive yield than all munitions ever detonated by mankind combined. Lieutenant Jack Revell discovered that only one safety mechanism didn't fail that day. A single low-voltage arming switch remained untouched during the crash, and that one switch is why, he explained in 2011, we don't have a bay where North Carolina is today. The bombs were recovered, mostly. The uranium-rich secondary of one of the bombs was never found.
Whoa.
To this day, it remains buried underground in North Carolina. Here's something you can try at home.
I mean, you know where the plane crashed. Just search that area. How hard can that be, man? You have to find it. You can just leave it there.
Build a nuclear reactor. In 1994, a 17-year-old David Hahn attempted to build a nuclear reactor in his mother's backyard in Michigan. It wasn't that difficult. For instance, common everyday smoke detectors contain small amounts of radioactive americium, and old glow-in-the-dark paint contains radium.
Wait a minute, I also remember this somewhat, not details. This was also in feature in that video, I don't know. But yeah, this is effed up, man. He just did this. This is stupid. Kids can do this, man. I get it. Being smart is important. This kid is definitely a science geek. But yeah, did that in the backyard. This could have gone really badly, man.
The reactor never reached critical mass, but it did succeed in exposing his neighborhood to 1,000 times the regular dosage of background radiation.
What the fuck?
It was declared a Superfund hazardous materials cleanup site, and all of his work was confiscated by authorities and buried in Utah. It didn't end there. In 2007, David Hahn was arrested for stealing smoke detectors from an apartment building. His face was covered with sores believed to be caused by constant exposure to radioactive materials.
What are you doing, man?
3 days after Little Boy was dropped on Hiroshima by the Enola Gay, Charles Sweeney was ordered to drop Fat Man on Kokura. He flew boxcar over the city for nearly an hour with the bomb bay doors open, but it was cloudy. Sweeney couldn't achieve visual confirmation of the target and was forced to go to the secondary target, Nagasaki, where 75,000 people died instead. Kokura was spared because of the clouds. We can build a weapon that mimics the furnace of our sun and the winds of Neptune, but yet we can't predict the weather more than a few minutes ahead of time.
Oh god, that's so good point, man. Our scientific knowledge is so spread out and volatile like that. Stupidest thing that we think we must have control of this, but we don't. I mean, we can't map all the ocean, we can't predict the clouds and weather, but yet we have power of the nuclear. It's just weird, man.
During World War II, Japanese soldiers fought for their emperor in ways that made Allied troops speechless. Kamikaze planes and torpedoes driven by a single pilot lost after use. When outnumbered, without hope, Japanese soldiers were reported to have thrown themselves off cliffs or swam out to sea to drown.
I'm not gonna lie, I can't see the mentality. This is not that far behind. It's this World War II times. It's just less than 100 years ago, Japanese mentality, I can't understand that. Being in Japan, going for military, air force, and your command is kill yourself while trying to attack someone. I don't understand the mentality. Some things that just makes me think, like, how does that even work? What kind of environment were they living in at the time? So their mentality was, for the country, I'm going to kill myself. And they just, like, everyday job, just went to the Air Force, got into the plane and just killed themselves. I mean, this is too heavy, man. I mean, it's not like they didn't have any other options. They could have used, like every other country in the world, use some kind of weapons. They don't kill themselves trying to destroy things. I don't know why Japan chose to do that or why it was necessary, but yeah, it's just weird to think about.
Rather than surrender. Even after 2 atomic bomb attacks, the Japanese Minister of War urged his people to continue fighting. But on August 14th, 1945, the Emperor of Japan overruled that decision and unconditionally surrendered. Men had leapt off of cliffs for him, but in his own words, the enemy has for the first time used cruel bombs. The heavy casualties are beyond measure. Richard Feynman received the Nobel Prize in Physics in 1965. He also helped develop the first atomic bomb at Los Alamos. In The Meaning of It All, he wrote, "Is science of any value?" And below that, "I think a power to do something is of value." He elaborates by talking about keys. Everything we learn about the universe, everything we invent or discover within it, is a key to the gates of heaven. But the same key will also open the gates to hell. The Titan II missile is great for delivering lethal nuclear warheads, but it also sent Gemini astronauts to space, preparing us for a mission to the moon.
Yeah.
Science doesn't tell us how to use keys. It finds them or predicts them. How we use keys is up to us.
Yeah.
And as always, thanks for watching.
Yeah, that's a great point he used in the end, because people, remember Hubble telescope in the sky? People like, whoa, NASA did that at the first try, there was no issue, science is so advanced. Usually things have error, but they didn't have any error. To that I say, that's not the first time they launched it. US Air Force launched a similar type of telescope in space to look down, to spy on people. So they already had the technology, they already succeeded. So NASA just had to turn this telescope around, make it a bit bigger, and send it in space. So they were really successful, ignoring some mirror issues that were fixed later. Yeah, so that's the thing with science, and when it comes to its usage of it. Scientists, people say, how can people like Oppenheimer and everybody could create things like this, and this is one of the most evil people. What the fuck you on about, man? He just, look, you can't stop science. I mean, you could try, but science will flourish somewhere else. People with great mind, like that kid created a reactor in his background. So science, you will never able to stop science. Science is just science. You discover things. Scientists are not evil. Your applications of those scientific discoveries, what makes you evil. So blaming scientists, like, why would they do this, why would they create this? Even Einstein in the end, like, don't create atomic bombs. Even he was like a bit of content with it. But in the end, science is science. You can't stop it. I mean, science and military goes hand to hand. Lots of things military does also helps the science, like I explained with the telescope thing. And lots of scientists, what they do also helps the military. Lots of what scientists does help the world. 33% or 35% of GDP of the world is because scientists were trying to go to the moon. They went to the moon, and everything came out from that. Chip industry, computers, lots of things are already being used right now, and its effect is even larger than 35%. So yes, science, people blame science, and that pisses me off, man. Science is just word for understanding everything around us. You are not going to stop wondering everything around you. You're not going to stop wondering, like, what is a black hole, what's inside a black hole, how we achieve that, how we go to the Mars, how we going to go to the next star, how many years it's going to take, what we should do. Can we split an atom? Can we fuse an atom? Can we do things that sun is already doing? Can we create a few better fusion reactors? This is just understanding of things around it. If you misuse that, that's your fucking fault. So yeah, I'll load this channel, Vsauce. That was Cruel Bombs. And remember, people, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like and subscribe. Check out the reaction today. There's a link in the description. Check out the cast for the playlist. And yeah, I'll see you next time.